Early in 1986, Clydeside Scottish showed all its staff a video called The Strategy for Survival. The message then was that everyone would have to work together to get through the major upheaval of deregulation. Now, just 6 months after deregulation, I'm here in Clydeside country to find out what's happened. Did the staff respond? How good were the company's plans? And were their predictions correct? And perhaps more important, what sort of problems does the company face over the next few months? Well ahead of deregulation, Clydeside told the staff what was likely to happen. They said competition would increase, especially from the PTE, now Strathclyde buses. Subsidy, then called revenue support, would disappear. Taxis and minibuses would increase, and Clydeside would have to respond because all of these threatened their revenue. The company had a plan, firstly to protect profitable routes by revising timetables, by introducing new styles of operation like crew buses and minibuses, and by using special pricing packages like hop-on tickets. They also said they would try and cut losses on the unprofitable routes by increasing efficiency and flexible pricing. And lastly, they wanted to try and win as many tenders as possible, not only to get the revenue from them, but to keep other operators off their patch. Well, to see what actually happened, I went to talk to George Watson, Clydeside's general manager.
Well, the competition hit us on our best routes. They hit us with old minibuses, old coaches, surplus buses from other fleets. In Renfrewshire, Strathclyde's buses hit us on some of our busiest routes in Paisley and hit us with cheap fares. In Glasgow, both Strathclyde's buses and independents hit us in our traditional operating areas, and of course we have had a go in Glasgow ourselves. In Inverclyde, the independent operators are now providing a quarter of the level of service that we're providing, when before deregulation there were only 2 or 3 buses on the road.
What did you do then to counter this competition?
Well, a year ago we devised a strategy, and the strategy was implemented. We brought conductors into our busiest services, particularly in the Renfrewshire and Glasgow areas, and that's gone down extremely well with the public. We introduced hop-on tickets. We now find that these tickets have been very successful, with something like 6% of our income coming from hop-on ticket sales.
What about the staff? Did they take up the challenge and respond to that challenge?
The staff have done magnificently. If it hadn't been for the efforts of the staff, we wouldn't have got to the reasonably strong position that we've got to now. Unfortunately, the battle isn't over now. We now find that Strathclyde's buses have registered an enormous package of services in the Renfrewshire area, and it's down to everybody in the company pulling together to make sure that we beat this next round of competition.
So there is still very much a major challenge from Strathclyde buses.
Indeed, there's a challenge like we've never seen before. If you want more information on that, I suggest you speak to Jim Lee.
Well, Jim, as operations manager, what are you going to do about this new invasion by Strathclyde buses?
Well, we won't just respond, Alan. We hope to take the initiative. I think what we've got to do is move first and fast. As far as I can see, there are 3 main areas for action. The first is to bring costs more into line with revenue. We have been examining our base network and we have been able to trim about 5% of our platform staff costs. Just to give you an example, for every £1 we get through the fare box, in 1985, 38p of that was spent on platform staff costs. In 1986, that had risen to 40 pence in the pound. But today, in 1987, we now spend 44 pence in every £1 we earn on our platform staff costs. So I think you can see that our costs are rising faster than our revenue, and we need to take some action to bring them into line.
Well, what can you do to improve that situation?
The second area is minibuses. We have deliberately delayed introducing minibuses to the right time. We now think this is the right time. And by using minibuses, we hope that we can penetrate better some of the areas that our big buses can't go. We're prepared to take any action, as long as it's legal, of course. We're prepared to have additional resources at key points to make sure that we get the customers rather than the competition. We're investing in radio control to make sure that we can respond quickly in the competitive situation. And really the object is to keep passengers on Clydeside buses.
Obviously you can't do all this yourself. You're looking for staff commitment.
Yes, of course we are. We really need 100% backing of all our staff. I want to squeeze the orange buses, but it won't be easy. We've got a tough job ahead, but I'm certainly confident that we can do it.
To do that, of course, needs technical backup, and that's the job of the workshops. There I met Sandy Bryden, the chief engineer. I put to him some of the drivers' complaints about the ages of some of the vehicles.
Nobody would love to change some of our buses more than the engineers. It's us who have to keep them on the road. But buses cost money, a hell of a lot of money. And until we get our costs down and our revenue up and make some real profit, then we haven't got the money to change anything. So it's no good wishing. Our job is to keep what we have in good trim. The driver's job is to treat them right when they have them.
But can you really expect 8- and 10-year-old buses to run all day?
You have a good point there, Alan. We used to have a lot more time to maintain our buses when only half the fleet was out all day. But these days, the mileages the vehicles run and the time they're out on the road has gone up. But we have a good maintenance team, a team who know buses and can work the occasional miracle. Let's not run away with the idea that all our buses are rubbish. Clydeside has a vast majority of good sound vehicles. What really matters is for our bus to get to the stop on time, clean and in good condition to complete its journey.
The man with the job of looking after the finances is Company Secretary Eddie Craik, who's joined Clydeside since the survival strategy was planned. He's pleased with the progress so far.
Well, you've got to remember that after deregulation there were many more operators chasing the same amount of money. We've got a fair idea how those operators are doing. From our analysis of those operators in the private sector, it shows that, in fact, our cost structures are very much in line with theirs. Within the bus group itself, as you know, Alan, we've got 11 operating companies, and we've been keeping a league table which measures our performance for each 4-weekly period, measuring profit or loss as a percentage of turnover. This is, if we go back a year to March 1986, we were in fact lying in 11th place, which was bottom of the league. In August 1986, shortly after the first wave of changes, we'd moved up to 9th, and our latest figures in March of this year show us in 6th position. If we continue to make that sort of improvement, we hope that eventually we might be number 1. But there's another important factor, and that is that as we've moved up this league table, we've found that, in fact, the substantial losses have been reduced to much more modest losses. If we continue to make that sort of improvement, there's no reason why we can't reach profitability in the near future.
It may sound a simple question, but why does profit matter?
Profits matter to any business. Without profits, you can't reinvest in the business. We need profits to be able to buy buses, refurbish depots, expansion and development, new plant machinery. We don't have a fairy godmother to buy these things for us.
So a clear message there about the financial side of the business. With that in mind, I asked the General Manager if there really was a future for Clydeside.
Of course there's a future for Clydeside, but our future is determined entirely by our passengers. It's the passengers who decide which bus they're going to travel with. But we've done research. We've had people carrying out independent market research, which has shown us that we're getting better. In particular, our customers particularly like our improvement in courtesy and our value for money in the last year. They like our conductors, they like our hop-on tickets, they like our fares promotions, and we're certainly ahead of the competition.
But you are still losing money, aren't you?
Well, I didn't say it was easy. We've got a long way to go to get our revenues and our costs in balance. We must do this through a combination of competing on the road and by developing and innovating. By comparison with many other companies in the bus industry, we're doing very well. We're not yet in the position that we want to be in, but it's certainly not all doom and gloom.
Do you take all the credit for that, then?
No, of course not. In Clydeside we employ 1,300 people, and it's down to the individual efforts of every member of the team that we've got to where we are now. Let's take St Mirren as an example. They're the local club who've got to the top of their profession. Through our sponsorship deal with St Mirren, we're aiming to bring Clydeside along with St Mirren and take Clydeside to the top of our profession and to get to #1.
Deregulation gave passengers more choice, more operators and more services, and it gave people who work in the bus industry a choice. Work together to make your operation reliable, efficient, well used and profitable, or let it go through neglect or niggling. I hope I'll be back in Clydeside country next year to hear that Clydeside people chose to work together to make a future for themselves and for public transport. This is Alan Douglas with Clydeside Scottish in Paisley.